Good afternoon to our professor, Doc Abante, and to my fellow colleagues. So today, Mr. Guinness and I will be discussing the topic entitled Social and Ethical Concerns Relating to the Information System in the chapter 4. So after completing this chapter, we students should be able to answer the following questions. Number one, what political, social, and ethical challenges are brought up by information systems? Number two, what are the specific conduct rules that can be utilized to direct the moral choices? Number three, why do the internet and the modern information systems technology make it harder to safeguard people's privacy and intellectual property? And lastly, what effects do information systems have on our daily lives? In here, we will identify what is the meaning of ethics. Ethics refers to the moral standards that people employ to govern their behavior as a free moral agents while making decisions. Ethics has something to do with your conscience, your values, your choices, your morals, your principles, your rights, your responsibility, and your choice. Ethics examines the rational justification for our moral judgments. It studies what is morally right and wrong, what is just or unjust. In a broader sense, ethic reflects on human beings and their interaction with nature and with other human beings. That is based on their freedom, on their responsibility, and on justice. The MIS, or the Management Information Systems and Ethics. Information systems raises new ethical questions because they create opportunities for a rapid social change. It can pose a danger to the current distribution of power, wealth, rights, and obligations. While it is true that information technology can be utilized to advance the society, just like the development of past technologies like the steam engines, development of electricities, telephones, and radios. But it can also be abused to commit crimes and endanger the treasured societal norms. This advancement of information technology will help many people, but it will cost money to others. The development of internet and electronic commerce has increased the urgency around ethical issues and information systems. Because right now, information can be assembled, integrated, and distributed more easily, and that is because there is the presence of internet and digital business technologies, which raises new questions about the proper usage of the client data, privacy, and intellectual property protection. It is true that when using information systems, it is crucial to consider the ethical and socially responsible course of action. We have here a framework for considering moral, social, and political issues. We can say that political, social, and ethical issues are actually interconnected. So imagine a society as a compound kung saan may mga tao doon na may sudden rules and regulations na sinusunod. Doon sa pond na yon, if we will throw a rock and that rock is the information technology, what actually transpires? Well, there is a ripples. Ripples that symbolizes a new situations wherein individual players are suddenly faced with a novel circumstances which are frequently not covered by the previous or yung mga old rules. In this, social and political institutions cannot respond overnight to these ripples or they cannot respond to these changes agad-agad. It may take years to develop a proper etiquette, expectations, social responsibilities, and laws about this. So, understanding ethics It requires understanding of ethics and illegally gray areas. So, with regards to the topic on the previous slides, we will now discuss the model that can be used to show how social, political, and ethical issues can interact. We have here the five moral dimensions of the information age, which have which raises a major issues regarding the information system that includes the rights and obligations regarding information. We also have the legal obligations and the property rights, control and accountability, system performance or system quality, and quality of life. Number one, um, we have here questions like what privacy rights do people and organizations have with regards to one another, and those privacy rights, what can they do to safeguard it? Number two, um, legal obligations and property rights. In a digital culture where it is hard to track down and account for ownership and kung saan simple yung pag-ignore ng mga property rights, how can a traditional intellectual property rights can be protected? Number three, control and accountability. Who will be held accountable and responsible for the damage done dun sa property rights and individual informations. Number four, system performance or system quality. What are the requirements for data and system quality should we make in order to safeguard people's rights and the security of the society? Number five, quality of life. What are the principles that can be upheld in the society that values information and knowledge? Which institution should we defend against abuse? Which cultural beliefs and customs do the new information technology support? In here, we have the figure 4.1, which yung kanina sa example natin do sa compound, when there is a introduction of a new information technology, it actually create a ripple effect. Those ripple effect raises a new ethical, social, and political issues that must be dealt with on the individual and social and political levels. These issues, yun nga, may five dimensions. May five dimensions siya. So now we will go to the important technology trends that present ethical concerns. Well, information technology came long before ethical concerns. However, information technology has increased ethical problems, stressed current social structures, and rendered some laws either completely or significantly ineffective. We have here the number one trend in the table 4.1, which is the computing power doubles every 18 months. Since majority of the firms or organizations depend on a computer systems for critical operations, they are more susceptible to computer malfunctions and bad data. The laws and social norms have not yet changed to reflect this dependence, and there are no universally recognized or upheld standards that guarantees the correctness and dependability of the information systems. Number two, data storage costs rapidly decline. Um, Due to the improvement in the data storage techniques and the fast failing storage prices, many private and public companies can now store numerous databases of individuals, including their employees, customers, and potential customers. This development in the data storage have made routinely violating people's privacy cheap and efficiently. So now big businesses can actually afford to use a very large data storage systems for customers identification that can handle terabytes of data. Number three, we have the analysis advances. Data analysis, data analysis methods can allow businesses and governmental organizations to learn extremely about a specific personal information about people. So now companies can bring together and combine these numerous bits of information about you saved on a computers considerably more simpler than in the past, and that is thanks because of the modern management data systems. Number four, networking advances. So considers all the way you collect computerized information about yourself. This includes yung mga sa credit card purchases mo, phone calls, magazine subscriptions, video rentals, and mail order purchases, or yung banking informations mo. These records are maintained by the locals or states, each or government every time you visit a website. If combined and makuha nila effectively, this data might be used to determine not only your credit score, but also your political preferences, relationships, yung mga readings and reviewing preferences mo, and also yung driving patterns and your taste. So copying data from one location to another and accessing personal data from remote locations are much easier because of the network advances. Number five, mobile device growth impact. Because of the lahat ng tayo ngayon may mga cellphones. So individual cellphones may be tracked without the user's consent or the user's knowledge. And because of these technological trends, nagkakaroon nga daw ng tinatawag na profiling, which is yung process of using computers to compile informations from many sources to produce electronic files with an in-depth details of the specific reports that arises or nagkakaroon nga ng technological um, concerns or ethical issues about these technological trends. Now we have the NORA, or the Non-Obvious Relationship Awareness, as a new data analysis technique that can provide the public and the private sectors more potent profiling capabilities. NORA, as seen in Figure 4.2, is a technology that scans data and extracts information as the data are generated so that it could, for example, um, an applicant for a job at a casino shares a telephone number with a known criminal, and this can issue an alert to the hiring manager. Well, although the technology, this NORA technology, can seen as an important tool for a security, it can give such an in-depth account of a single person's relationship and actions that can sometimes um, arise, or that can arise a privacy concerns. Now we will go to the topic about ethics in a technological society. So we know that humans with free will are concerned with ethics because ethics is a personal decision making. We are sometimes asked about what is the right moral decision when we are given two choice between um, two actions, and what are the key components of an ethical decision. So we will discuss the three basic concepts that includes yung responsibility, accountability, and the liability. We know that responsibility is to acknowledge or to admit that lahat ng gagawin natin, yung mga personal decisions natin ay may consequences. It actually has potential cause, duties, and obligations. Number two, accountability. Accountability is a mechanism for identifying who are the responsible parties. Number three, the liability. Liability expands the idea of responsibility into the realm of legal obligations. Dito it permits individuals and firms to recover the damages that has been done to them. Number four, due process. Um, these are the laws that are well known and understood with an ability With this loss, we have the ability to appeal to the higher authorities about the damages that has been done to us. Next, we have the five-step process on how should you evaluate a scenario when it seems to bring an ethical dilemmas. It is called the ethical analysis. So number one, clearly define and state the facts. Sabi nga, finding out who, where, when, and how they did what to whom is important. You will frequently be shocked by the inaccuracies in the first given information, and you will discover that by just clarifying the fact can aid in defining the solutions. So getting the opposing parties in an ethical problem to agree on the facts can also help to find a good solution. Number two is to specify the issue at hand and point out the higher order values at stake. Dito, iniisip mo kung ano ba yung mga values na nakasalalay. So, political, social, and ethical issues, challenges constantly makes reference to the higher ideals. Number three, list the parties involved. Dito naman, yung mga stakeholders are the participants in the game who are invested in the situation. Sila yung may mga typically have a strong opinions about dun sa situation. And they are present in every ethical and social critical issues. So, learning kung sino yung mga yon ay nakakatulong kung paano makaka-create ng solutions later on. Number four, list the choices you can make that are reasonable. And number five, determine any possible repercussions of your choice. Lagi mo iisipin, um, what if I regularly choose this option over time? Makakatulong pa din ba to pag ito yung choice na pinili ko ulit? So after discussing the ethical analysis on the previous slides, we will now go to the candidate code of ethics, wherein we can have the um, moral guidelines or principle that can we use to guide our decision making. Number one, we have the golden rule. A golden rule is a principle that talks about treating others as how we want to be treated as well. Dito nga sinasabi na you can think about fairness and decision making by putting yourself in the shoes of others and considering yourself as the target of the choice. Dito, um, ito yung principle na sinasabi natin na kung ayaw mong mangyari sa'yo, huwag mong gawin sa iba. Number two is the Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative. It is an action is not right for everyone to take. It is not right for everyone to take. Kant defines categorical imperative as a command or a moral laws all persons must follow regardless of their desire, regardless of their circumstances. Um, this moral is imperative because it binds everyone. For example, lying and deception. Under all circumstances, lying and deceptions are forbidden. Ito ay mali. This is because if lying were to become a universal action, the concept of trust would no longer coexist. Number three, Descartes' rule of change. Um, if an action cannot be taken repeatedly, it is not right to take at all. Dito pumapasok daw yung the slippery slope rule kung saan yung behavior kapag nagtuloy-tuloy siya. Sa umpisa, magkakaroon siya ng maliit na pagbabago, maliit na resulta na hindi mapapansin na pwedeng maging acceptable. But eventually, it will bring out unacceptable modification. Sabi nga, di ba, it might be said that once started down a slippery path, you may not be able to help. Number four, the utilitarian principle. Take the action that achieves the higher or greater value. And number five, is the use or the application of risk aversion principle. It is to take the action that produces the least harm or the least potential cost. Number six, ethical no free lunch rule. It assumes that virtually all tangible and intangible objects are owned by someone unless there is a specific declaration otherwise. Dito, it has value. If anything that someone else developed is valuable to you, you should presume that the author wants payment for their efforts. So, walang libre. Um, Actions that do not easily comply with these guidelines merit critically scrutiny and extreme caution. Even more damaging to you and your business than genuine unethical activity is the impression of an unethical behavior. Next topic for chapter 4 is the code of conduct for professionals. So, in our working setup, there is also a set of code of conducts. This code of conducts are established because there is a unique claims of expertise, wisdom, and respect for the professionals that have a distinct responsibilities and rights. Um, by signing code of ethics, professionals promises to regulate themselves in the general interest of the society. This code of conduct includes the establishments of the group or association such as AMA or the American Medical Association. We have also the American Bar Association, which is the ABA, also the AITP or the Association of Information Technology Professionals, and the Association for Computing Machinery or the ACM. We will also tackle about the some real-world ethical dilemmas. It is the set of interests pitted against one another. So, for example, the right of a company to maximize the productivity of the workers versus the workers' right to use the internet for a short personal task. In here, many businesses keep an eye on what their staff members are doing online to stop them from doing anything outside the activity of the work, non-work related activities. In this scenario, um, businesses to be able to prevent the productivity losses. Business owners may feel forced to keep an eye on their employees' email and their internet usage. Employees might, but on the other hand, employees might feel that they should be able to utilize the internet instead of the phone for quick personal tasks. Parang in our company, yung laptop namin, actually, naka-block yung Facebook and YouTube kasi nga mina-maximize ng company yung time namin sa work. So, hindi pwedeng mag-indulge ka sa Facebook and sa YouTube. Pero may time ka naman din na take ng calls or mag-Facebook during your break times or in your coffee break. We will now go to another discussion. It is about the moral dimensions of information system. We will now discuss the information rights, the freedom and privacy of the age in the age of the internet. Number one, we have the right to privacy. The right to privacy, it means that individuals can demand to be left alone and watch and free from intrusion from other people or organizations, including the government. They should have the ability to control information about themselves. For example, in the US, their privacy is protected by number one, First Amendment, or they have the freedom of speech. Number two, the Fourth Amendment, or the have the unreasonable search and seizure. Number three is the additional federal statutes or the Privacy Act of 1970. The Privacy Act of 1974 is about the governing of the gathering data, using and disclosure of information by the federal government. So the majority of privacy laws in the US and Europe are based on a system that is known as a Fair Information Practices, or the FIPs. FIPs are the set of principles governing the collections and the use of information. It is the basis of most US and European privacy laws. It is also based on the mutuality of interest between the record holder and an individual. So the record keeper, typically a company or a government agency, that needs the information on the individual to facilitate the transaction, because the person is interested in engaging in it. So once the information has been collected, the individual retains ownership of the record, and hindi yun pwedeng gamitin pa sa ibang purposes without the subject's permission. The original FIP was reinstated and extended by the FTC in 1988 to provide the guidelines for protecting online privacy. In the slide, we have the table 4.2, which is the FTC's FIP principles. So number one is the notice or awareness, which is considered as the core principle. Website must disclose their information practices before collecting data. Yung mga dito na yun includes yung identification, kung sino yung collector, what is the use of the data, recipients of the data, nature of the collection, voluntary or required status, and consequences of refusal, and what are the steps taken to protect confidentiality, integrity, and the quality of the data. Number two is yung choice or consent, another core principle nila. Dito, consumer must be able to choose on how their information is being used for a secondary purposes other than supporting the transactions, including yung internal use and yung transfer to the third parties. Number three, yung access or participation. Dito, consumers must be able to review, contest the accuracy and completeness of the data collected about them in a timely and an inexpensive process. Number four, security. So data collectors must take steps to assure that consumer information is accurate and secure from unauthorized use. Number five is the enforcement. There must be in a place a mechanism to enforce FIP principles. This can involve self-regulation, legislation giving consumers legal remedies for violations or federal statutes and regulations. Here, changes in a privacy legislation are being influenced by the FTC's FIP principles. Dito, we have the COPPA, or Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, which mandates that website must acquire parental consent before collecting data on a children under the age of 13 as their users. Number two is the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act of 1999. In this, financial services have some privacy protections. Dito, it repeals earlier limits on affiliation between banks, security firms, and insurance businesses. Financial institutions must allow clients to opt out of the information sharing agreements with unaffiliated third parties. They should explain their policies and practices for safeguarding privacies of non-public personal information. And number three is the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, which is the HIPAA of 1996. This law grant patients access to their personal medical records kept by the hospitals, health insurers, and healthcare providers, as well as the power to consent to the use or disclosure of their protected health information. In this, doctors, hospitals, and other healthcare professionals are only permitted to disclose patient personal information to the extent necessary to fulfill a specific purpose. For the another topic in the chapter 4, we have the privacy challenges on the internet. As a result of internet technology, the protection of personal privacy now faces additional difficulties. So when a user visits a website, a little text file called a cookie is placed on the computer's hard drive. We'll now talk about cookies. So, cookies are the tiny files downloaded by website to the visitor's hard drive. It identifies the visitor's browser and tracks visits to the site. It will allow websites to develop profiles on the visitors. Depending on the action during the visit, it may additionally refresh the cookie, but the website can then tailor its content to each visitor's preferences. For instance, yung mga pag nag-login tayo sa Shopee, Lazada, sa website, um, kapag in-accept natin yung mga um, agreement, cookies doon na nakalagay. Kapag next time na mag-login tayo ulit, magkakaroon na siya ng mga ads regarding to it. So that is what we call cookies. So here we have the image or the figure, which includes the user's laptop and the server. So dito nga sabi, cookies are written by the website on a visitor's hard drive. So when the visitor returns to that website, the web server requests the ID number from the cookie and uses it to access the data stored by the server on that visitor. So the website can then use this data to display personalized information. Another type of a privacy challenges on the internet are the web beacons, or simply known as web bugs. This is also simply called a tracking files. It is a tiny graphic embedded in an email messages and web pages that is designed to monitor who is reading a message and transmitting that information to another computer on the internet. Another one is the spyware. It is surreptitiously installed on a user's computer. It may transmit users' keystrokes or displays unwanted ads. Another challenges on the privacy on the internet is the Google services and behavioral targeting. So we know that Google is the world's largest data collector of online users' information. With Google, with Google Search and other Google services being used by almost 75% of the internet users worldwide, the use of Google data has a significant impact on online privacy. According to the majority of the experts, Google has an access to more personal data on more people than any other government body. And yung closest rival niya is yung Facebook. Um, I think we all know naman and we experience this that Google can assist advertisers in choosing the keywords and creating advertising for different market groups based on the research history. Ito yung for example, yung kapag nag-search ka sa Google, um, magpa-pop up yung mga ads based on dun sa mga previous na searches mo. Another content of emails Google services is the Gmail. Gmail is a free website email services. Users who read their email may notice advertisements that are pertinent to the messages topic. So for example, kapag nag-open tayo ng email natin, tapos nag-subscribe tayo previously dun sa mga website na napuntahan natin, and constantly mag-pop up siya ng mga ads while we are browsing or reading our messages on the Gmail. After discussing the challenges that the privacy faces on the internet, we will now discuss some of the technical solutions that can safeguard the user's privacy when they interact with the websites in addition to the laws. This includes nga yung mga email encryption, anonymity tools, which are, for example, yung mask browsing, anti-spyware tools, and yung browser features. For example niya is yung do not track options. Yung do not track options na to or do not track settings are available dun sa mga cellular browsers. Ito yung settings kung saan nagre-request ito sa isang website para hindi i-track yung online activity na ginagawa mo sa computer mo. While this do not track options or settings are available, and Internet Explorer 9 and Mozilla's Firefox browser, hindi naman to laging available din sa iba. And additionally, majority naman ng users hindi nag-click dun sa options privacy tab ng browser nila. So, so hindi rin talaga nila natatrack or napoprotect yung mga datas or mga bagay na sinesearch nila online. And that is the end of my report. So now to further elaborate the topics of the chapter 4, I will be giving the floor to Mr. Guinness.
Thank you, Ma'am Franz. Now we have other matters regarding the social and ethical concerns relating to information systems. One of them is the property rights, specifically intellectual property. Modern information systems have posed serious legal and social challenges to the protection of private intellectual property. Intangible property made by people or businesses is referred to as intellectual property. Due to the ease with which computerized material may be transferred on networks or replicated, information technology has made it challenging to protect intellectual property. Trade secrets, copyright, and patent law are three legal traditions that provide various protections for intellectual property. So under property rights, specifically intellectual properties, we have four concerns. We have the first one, commerce or trade secrets, copyright. The third one is patents. And the fourth one, intellectual property rights, issues, and challenges. All right? So we have the commerce or trade secrets. As long as it is not based on publicly available information, any intellectual work product, be it a formula, a device, pattern, or compilation of data, used for business purposes can be categorized as a trade secret. Trade secret protections differ from state to state. Trade secret laws typically confer a monopoly on the concepts that underlie a work product, but it can be a very flimsy monopoly. Software can be classified as a trade secret if it has a novel or if it has novel or distinctive components, processes, or compilations. The real ideas contained in a work product are protected under trade secret legislation, not just how they are expressed. To make this claim, the creator or owner must take care to enforce non-disclosure agreements on their workers and clients and to keep the secret from becoming known to the public. Of course, and the drawback of trade secret protection is that despite the fact that almost all software systems of any complexity have some distinctive components, it is challenging to keep the work's concepts from entering the public domain when the software is extensively used. The second one is copyright. Copyright is a legal privilege that guards intellectual property creators from having their work copied for any reason for the duration of their lives and an extra 70 years after their deaths. For works owned by corporations, copyright protection is in effect for 95 years following the date of creation. Books, magazines, lectures, plays, musical compositions, drawings, maps, photographs, motion pictures, and periodicals all now have copyright protection. Of course, thanks to legislation passed by Congress. So we have the what we call Copyright Office. The Copyright Office started registering software programs in the middle of the 1960s. And in 1980 Congress passed or in 1980 Congress passed the Computer Software Copyright Act, which outlines the buyer's rights to use the software while the creator retains legal title and clearly protects software program code and copies of the original sold in commerce. And lawsuits alleging look and feel copyright infringement focus specifically on the difference between an idea and its expression. For instance, in the early 1990s, Apple Computer sued Hewlett Packard and Microsoft Corporation for allegedly copying the expression of overlapping windows used in Apple's Macintosh interface. The defendants contended that the merger doctrine of copyright law does not apply since the concept of overlapping windows can be stated in a single fashion. The expression cannot be protected by copyright, of course, when ideas and their expression are combined. Patents. A patent gives the owner a 20-year exclusive monopoly over the concepts behind an invention. The purpose of the patent law, as intended by Congress, is to protect novel machine, device, or method inventors from infringement and to enable widespread application of the innovation by making clear schematics available to those seeking to apply the concepts under license from the patent's owner. The United States Patent and Trademark Office uses court decisions to decide whether to award a patent. Originality, uniqueness, and invention are the three main ideas in patent law, until a 1981 Supreme Court judgment holding that computer programs might be a component of a patentable process. The Patent Office did not usually accept applications for software patents. Since then, thousands of patents are pending review in addition to the hundreds that have already been issued. So what could be the benefit of having a patent? The benefit of a patent is that it gives a monopoly on the fundamental principles and concepts of software. The challenge lies in meeting demanding standards for non-obviousness, meaning the work must demonstrate some unique insight and contribution. For example, originality and freshness as well as years of waiting to acquire protection. The fourth concern is all about intellectual property rights issues and challenges. Modern information technologies, particularly software, provide serious difficulties for current intellectual property systems, and as a result, they raise important ethical, social, and political dilemmas. Digital media differ from books, periodicals, and other media in a number of ways, including ease of replication, ease of transmission, ease of alteration, difficulty classifying a software work as a book, program, or even music, compactness, which makes theft simple, and difficulties proving uniqueness. The spread of electronic networks such as the internet has made intellectual property protection even more challenging. So before the widespread usage of networks, was hampered by the need to store copies of software, books, magazine articles, or films on physical medium such as paper, computer disks, or videotape. Information may be duplicated and spread more broadly using networks. According to the International Data Corporation and the Business Software Alliance's ninth annual study on global software piracy, the rate of software theft increased to 42% in 2011 and cost the world $63 billion. Around the world, for every $100 in legal software sales that year, an additional $75 in illegal software purchases were made. So this is according to Business Software Alliance in 2012. So some copyright protection is offered by the Digital Millennium Copyright Act or the DMCA of 1998. The DMCA put into effect a World Intellectual Property Organization treaty that makes it unlawful to go beyond the protected contents technological protections. Now, another concern to talk about is the control, liability, and accountability. New information technologies are challenging existing liability laws and social norms for holding people and institutions accountable, along with privacy and property laws. So, one major matter that we have to talk about are the problems with computer-related liability. So, the most crucial feature offered by the smartphone manufacturer Research in Motion. Email was disrupted for a week in October 2011 for millions of BlackBerry users worldwide. Users from Asia, Europe, the Middle East, and the Americas made up a sizable portion of BlackBerry's installed base of 70 million users during the 3-day email blackout. Due to its superior email security and seamless integration with corporate mail servers, the BlackBerry had the leading position in the corporate smartphone market until recently. More than half of all new corporate mobile devices are now iPhone and Android smartphones, which are supported by employees. More businesses are anticipated to stop using the BlackBerry as a result of the outage. On the plus side, due to drivers being unable to text or call using their BlackBerry during the outage, police agencies around the world reported a dramatic decrease in urban traffic accidents. Another one is all about system quality, specifically system errors and data quality. A related but separate moral dimension is brought up by the discussion of responsibility and culpability for unintended effects of system use. So the question is, what level of system quality is deemed acceptable and technologically feasible? For instance, software businesses work to debug their products before putting them on the market. Yet, they nonetheless purposely produce flawed goods since doing so would make them too expensive and time consuming to release. Would social welfare not advance and perhaps even fall if the product was not made available on the market? Taking this step further, what exactly is the duty of a manufacturer of computer services? Should it recall the imperfect product, alert the customer, or simply ignore the danger and let the buyer beware? So poor input data quality, hardware breakdowns due to natural or other causes, and software flaws and mistakes are the three main causes of poor system performance. We also have the equity, access, and boundaries of quality of life. So along with the power to technology, the negative social consequences of adopting information technologies and systems are starting to rise. Now we have five major concerns under this one. We have the balance of power, center versus periphery, rapidity of change, reduced response time to competition. We also have maintaining boundaries. We have family, work, and leisure, dependence and vulnerability. And the last one is computer crime and abuse. So, these are few of the harmful social effects of systems, taking into account the personal, societal, and political reactions. First one is balancing power, center versus periphery. Power balance, center versus periphery. Big centralized mainframe computers were feared to lead to a big brother society portrayed in George Orwell's novel 1984 by consolidating authority in the nation's capital. Fears of power concentration in governmental institutions have decreased as a result of the shift toward highly decentralized computers. So it's an ideology of worker empowerment and the decentralization of decision making to lower organizational levels. The second one is the rapidity of change, reduced response time to competition. Markets on a national and international scale are now far more effective because of information systems. So the customary societal buffers that give businesses several years to adapt to competition have been diminished by today's more effective global marketplace. The downside of time-based competition is that your employer might not have enough time to respond to international rivals and could go out of business in a year, costing you your job. We run the risk of becoming a just-in-time society with just-in-time workplaces, family, vacations, as well as just-in-time jobs. And the third one, have the maintaining boundaries, family, work, and leisure. So the reference book used in this presentation was written in parts on trains, aircrafts, vacations, and during what would have otherwise been family time. Because it is truly becoming a reality. Ubiquitous computing, telecommuting, nomad computing, mobile computing, and does do anything anywhere computing environment are all at risk. The conventional divisions between job, family, and simple pleasure have weakened. The fourth one is dependence and vulnerability. Our modern corporations, governments, educational institutions, and nonprofit organizations like churches rely heavily on information technologies. making them extremely susceptible if these systems malfunctions. So, for instance, educational software is used and relied upon more and more in secondary schools. Frequently, test results are kept off campus. There is no substitute educational framework or body of knowledge that could replace these systems if they were to fail. It is surprising to realize that there are no regulatory or standard setting bodies in place that are comparable to those for telephone, electrical, radio, or other public utility technologies in an era where networks are as pervasive as the telephone system. Demands for national standards and possibly governmental control will likely to be made due to the lack of standards and the importance of some system applications. And the last one is all about computer crime and abuse. Computers and other new technologies such as them open up new chances for criminal activity by producing new valuable things to steal, new methods for doing so, and new means to hurt other people. The commission of illegal acts using a computer or against a computer system is known as computer crime. Computers or computer systems can both be the target of the crime, such as when a company's data center or computer files are destroyed, and the tool of a crime, including stealing computer lists by illegally gaining access to a computer system using a home computer. So to elaborate about computer crime and abuse, computer abuse is the use of a computer to commit actions that might not be against the law but are nevertheless viewed as unethical. Spamming has become a significant issue for both people and organizations due to the widespread use of the internet and email. Spam is a junk email that is sent to a large group of internet users who have not indicated any interest in the good or service being advertised by a company or individual. So we have three concerns under computer crime and abuse. The first one, employment, trickle-down technology and re-engineering job loss. Second one, equity and access, increasing racial and social class cleavages. And the third one, health risks, the RSI, CVS, and technostress. All right, so let's go through it one by one. The first one is employment, the trickle-down technology and re-engineering job loss. The information systems community frequently hails re-engineering work as a major advantage of new information technology. So there's a chance that society will be governed by a small high-tech elite of corporate professionals in a nation of the permanently unemployed. So the confluence of technologies, including robots, has increased the rate of automation in recent years. So confluence means they come together in one place. So the second one is all about equity and access, increasing racial and social class cleavages. So thus everyone in the digital era has have an equal chance to participate. Will information systems technology help close the social, economic, and cultural disparities that exist in America and other societies? Several studies show that poor and minority groups in the US are less likely to have computers and online access. So if the digital divide is not closed, there could be a huge number of information have-nots who are computer literate and skilled. Public, of course, there would be public interest groups who would seek close this digital divide by ensuring that almost everyone has access to digital information services. And last but not the least is the health risks or the health risks, RSI, CVS, and technostress. Repetitive stress injury, RSI, is currently the most prevalent occupational ailment. Tennis, for example, or hundreds of repetitions with low impact loads can cause muscle groups to be strained by repetitive motions, which can lead to RSI, such as working at a computer keyboard. So, of course, the computer keyboards are the main cause of RSI, but RSI can be prevented. Proper monitor stands, footrests, and workstation design that promotes a neutral wrist position all help to improve posture and lessen the risk of repetitive strain injury. The option of ergonomic keyboards is also available. The regular relaxation periods and employee duty rotations should be used to support these actions. Quitters can also lead to other occupational diseases besides RSI. Poor economic desks or ergonomic desks designs can also cause foot pain, leg stress, and back and neck pain. We have the computer vision syndrome or the CVS, which refers to any eye strain problem associated with display screen used in desktop computers, laptops, e-readers, smartphones, and handheld video games. So about 90% of individuals who spend 3 hours or more every day in front of a computer are impacted by CVS. Headaches, impaired vision, and dry and itchy eyes are some of its symptoms, which are typically transient. So, technostress or stress brought on by using a computer is the most recent illness associated with computers. Anger, animosity toward people, irritability, exhaustion are a few of its symptoms. Experts assert that people who spend a lot of time around computers develop the expectation that people and institutions will act impersonally and instantly without showing any attention or emotion. High levels of early retirement from computer intensive industries, high level of job turnover in the computer industry, high levels of drug, even alcohol abuse are all regarded to be associated with technological stress. Although the prevalence of technostress in the United States is unknown, it is estimated to be in the millions and rising. According to health statistics from various industrialized nations, the most stressful employment today is those that are use of computers. So, of course, based on experience, this is also happening in the Philippines, where everything or much of this are also happening to most of the employees in the Philippines. And our lives now include the computer in a personal, social, cultural, and political sense. The challenge we face and the decisions we make are not expected to get any simpler as information technology continues to change our world. As we enter the first century of the digital age, all the ethical and social challenges we have discussed are likely to become even more pressing given the expansion of the internet and the information economy. All right, so that would be all for our report. Together with my presentation partner, Mary France Nasibal, this is Romel Hines, and thank you for listening and have a wonderful day.